Hi, and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, we'll have a look why so many people refer to eBay as a place where only scammers are, and besides a fraud, you cannot do a single thing, as I've purchased 6th Cameo to add to our array of cameos in the office, and obviously it's not just used, which is fine. This was actually sold as for parts or potentially faulty, but join me to explore how that was, while a fraud, it's fine for me. In order to better understand the situation and try to read between the lines, if you will, let us start with the item description that I was reading before purchasing this. This was an auction, and I obviously could select any money to place down, and I ended up paying just over 100 quid to get this machine. Now let's see what the seller actually says. The seller states that the Cameo is 18 months old, used, couple of marks on the top, which obviously doesn't match, but that's not the best state of the Cameo. But anyway, currently I can only find the power cable and not the cable to link to a laptop / computer. If this turns up, I will naturally send with the cutter, but it's listed without. They can usually be picked up online around £5. Now we will look into why this person has lost the cable for the machine and did not provide one, although it's literally the single most common wire to be used, but we still don't know what's wrong with the machine, so let's proceed. The person says that the cutter developed what we believe to be a fault about 2 weeks ago. So what they believe to be a fault, that's weird phrasing. The blade stopped cutting deep enough, so the person used Cameo 3 without a blade, supposedly, because that's what it came with, for 18 months, and now 2 weeks ago it developed a fault where this has stopped cutting deep into the material, and the blade stopped cutting deep enough to go through the vinyl. Okay, I can see it is set to 10, so it's all the way out to the maximum it can be, so maybe there's some truth to that. We'll find out shortly. They continue to say that possibly new blade needed, or system reboot, and in brackets update, or possible repair. So reboot and update, I would imagine you would try that before selling the machine, especially because all you do is click the button. Moving on, we currently have 3 machines, so it is more cost and time effective for us, more time effective than doing a reboot. More time effective and cost effective for us to purchase a new replacement machine than play around with this one. So supposedly there is a fault with blade not reaching deep enough, and this is the fault that has been developed fairly recently, and that's pretty much the whole well, I mean, there is standard price is 99p because we have no idea on the value price, so feel free to place your own value on it. If it's a simple fix, then this will be an absolute steal of a price, and most likely Techie will be able to sort out any problem. Good luck and happy bidding. Why do I proclaim it a fraud? For a single reason being that this person straight away states they do not attach this USB cable to be connected to a laptop or computer. And let's first look at the pictures. So that's the picture 1, that's the picture 2, and that's the picture 3. That's total 3 pictures. Now if we slide it to a side, and we'll look inside the USB port, not the one that's meant for the memory reading inputs. If we look to the actual one that connects to the computer, we will see that it is damaged. So this is, well, obviously that's not visible on the images, and while this alone is not enough to proclaim this being a fraud, or that is, the person is willingly not providing the whole information to us as a potential buyer, I have a hard time believing that buying a new 300 quid, roughly 300, 350, depending on where you're getting Cameo for, is always a better option than to, as they claim, what can be a simple blade issue, which, by the way, you would be probably knowledgeful enough to actually know when it's a blade or not. Speaking of that, they said 3 machines, so the blades are interchangeable, so they could have simply taken the blade. So okay, let's start inspecting. We do not need this. This is rubbish. This goes into the bin straight away. It's only a going to be a pain in the buttocks to deal with. That is a dud, so that goes into the bin as well. So if we proceed inspecting, we'll see that the belt that the knives go against is worn, but it will live for now. The next thing we want to check and see how well the carriage operates. That needs oiling. Oiling is fine, and obviously by the amount of dust and everything else, how much the whole thing is well, not clean, I can obviously tell that it did not have an easy life, if you will, because the paint's brushed out and whatnot. But let's see how we can actually fix this. So there's 3 screws on Cameos. You hear that? I have a slight suspicion. Anyway, continuing on. Let's have a look at this board and what will we need in order to actually get this going. So that's the first screw. The second one is here. The third one is here, and please take note, the 2 of the inner screws are longer than the one that goes on the bottom. Now let's have a look in here. You will have an LCD cable in here, and I'll show you a close-up in a second, sorry. But I can tell you one thing straight away. That is a screw, and I can already see where it goes. So now I have a very good reason to suspect, and this is covered by this, so the screw would not be unscrewed unless you take this off. Why would you take this off? Maybe because you wanted to see how difficult or easy it would be to replace this thing. I pronounce this to be a, while not a complete fraud, it would be that the person willingly did not submit all of the information to us. Right, now what do we need to get this off? there are two things. There is the grounding cable that is connected to the, and I think it should go on the top as well. Maybe not. Anyway, the grounding cable gets disconnected from the board. Maybe we will need to extract that screw, maybe not. Now, the second thing we need to do is to remove the flex cable that goes to the touchscreen LCD and the digitizer. In order to do that, you will need to unclip a very tiny clip, and it's very fragile as well. From what I can see, obviously there's one more ground connection, but I can see that there's at least two more screws that needs to be taken out before we can remove the board from the Cameo. So I guess we'll have to remove this whole big piece. So for the reference, the one on the top, this one, is how it should look, and the one on the bottom, the big thing, is how it currently looks like. So the inner plastic, quite common thing with USB type A's, are they? Anyway, quite common thing with them. Now, I have this thing at hand, which was a ODB2 something reader, whatever rubbish thing. Anyway, I'm gonna try to adopt this in order to be used here. But if that's not an option, you can simply use a wire, a USB wire, because this is nothing else than an interface. And what you can do is simply find which out of them 4 contacts is using which wires, and simply go of that, just solder directly to the pads. But it does look like they should match, so we'll see how it goes. The old connector has been replaced with a new one. It's alright. I think it's a bit shorter, but other than that, it should work just fine, because usually the pinouts on them are standardized, so there should be no issues with that. Obviously the board's clean of flux and everything, so the only thing that's left to do is put it all back in and see if it actually works. Oh yeah, I nearly forgot. I was asked to remove this thing. I think this has to do something with the media to be not curling up or something like that. Helps maybe with something of that matter. I'm not sure how to exactly remove it properly, but I mean, I've seen 2 screws and I pull it out and there's a bunch of vinyl stuck to it as well. You can see it took a beating pretty much, but yeah, just removing that leaves us with nice surface. You can access both shafts because that's what's UL, not that one. Is what you will. So let's have a look if it actually works now, shall we? Here's your little secret that you will not find on any of the YouTube videos, because the second you will see somebody's video operating a Cameo, you will see that, or whatever the other one, the cricket, that thing. You will see that the person will most probably be using a cutting mat. Now here's an even cut off of a random length from the Mimaki. This is a digital vinyl, so it could be a print here, but that's not what I'm currently thinking of. But let's put the old blade in. And it did say something about Cameo being detected. Next, whatever, go on, later, finish, not complete, whatever. How does this work now? So we've got test. Oh, I see what that bar does. It prevents media from curling up. But that test was sent from obviously the PC. Let's have a look. It did the triangle bit thing type of stuff. To me, that looks like a cut in Cameo. As a conclusion, you can easily see how, knowing this, you can clearly see how the eBay can get a bad rep for people trying to rip other people off. That being said, that can happen anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be eBay, but buying an older technology, it is always advised that you would actually know something about that technology, or at least could do some basic soldering. Well, yes, did require two tools, but it technically could be done with a soldering iron alone. But anyway, I'll leave you at that, and you'll be the judge whether things like that are okay or not with you. Obviously, in my case, I've got a Cameo 3 in pretty much fully working condition, besides the fact that it needed the USB port replacing. Other than that, it's a fully capable machine. Even with the blade that's there, it did fairly okay job, and I do suspect that we will be able to use it for a minute or two within our business before replacing to what we use. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next episode.